watching News 8.
Dr. Jeff Harp from Highland Family Medicine is back with us. Doctor, good to see you.
Likewise.
Recently, there's been a lot of talk in the news about Salmonella, that romaine lettuce outbreak which sickened so many people, is top of mind, and that's our subject this morning, Salmonella food poisoning. Let's begin by defining what exactly is Salmonella.
So Salmonella is a bacteria, and Salmonella food poisoning is an infection of the intestines by that bacteria, basically.
How is it transmitted?
So it's transmitted by contact with the bacteria. And where do you get the bacteria? And it's really two major sources: food, so poultry, eggs, dairy products, and then contaminated vegetables and fruits. And the fruits that are most vegetables and fruits that are most implicated are sprouts, actually some lettuces, and melon. And there was also an outbreak about melon recently.
Right.
And then pets, especially reptiles and amphibians, frogs, toads, things like that. And baby chicks are also big offenders. So those two sources, pets and food.
Interesting. What is it like, and by that I mean how does it present? So
generally, person first has to ingest the bacteria, and then within 12 to 72 hours, so a half a day to 3 days, they start to have abdominal cramping, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, just like any kind of intestinal bug.
And the upshot, I mean, how severe can it be, ultimately?
Generally, for people who are fairly healthy, it lasts for 5 to 7 days. The symptoms, not the fevers necessarily, but the diarrhea, and they get over it. But people who are a little more vulnerable might start to get dehydrated, feel lightheaded, and so forth. And if that happens, they really should contact a healthcare clinician and get some help, because they might need IV fluids or even antibiotics to help them get over the infection.
How is it treated? If you know, prior to that step of going to the doctor, what are the steps one would take to treat it?
Really keeping oneself well hydrated, drinking lots of fluid, resting, and basically waiting for it to get better.
Steps we could take to prevent Salmonella.
Well, avoid exposure. So avoid exposure to potentially contaminated foods. If you are buying pre-cut vegetables and fruits, make sure they're rinsed well, cooked well. Meats, make sure they're cooked to the right temperature. When you're preparing food, don't mix the utensils that are used to prepare it with the utensils that are used to serve it. So, like, for example, if you're cutting up chicken, wash everything before you use those same things to serve it. And then refrigerate things after they're cooked. And then with animals, of course, wash your hands after you handle any kind of animal, but especially ones that might be at risk for transmitting Salmonella.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, Doctor. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Great online resource we'll share as well. The link is foodsafety.gov. We'll add that link to our website as well. You'll find it at rochesterfirst.com.